Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Smart Stats podcast.
My name is Moaz,
And my name is Prab.
and today we'll be talking about a major news in Canadian politics. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has just announced a new election within the coming month, 2 years before it was supposed to happen.
Mhm. Yes, and this is major news because I believe this hasn't happened for a while, where this is sort of like a rushed election and it isn't planned as usual. And this is actually very recent. It actually happened today of this recording.
Yup. So first of all, we're gonna explain to you guys how elections work because every country is slightly different. So
Hmm.
at least on the federal level, we have about 330 seats. Okay, MPs, that's what they're called in each region. Every time an election happens, which is every 4 years, an MP gets elected into the House. And then in the House, all the MPs come together and vote for the Prime Minister. When one party has a majority of the seats, it's called a majority of the government, and their guy becomes the Prime Minister. However, if one party does not have more than 170 seats, which has happened and has happened in 2019 to Justin Trudeau, then that becomes a minority government where the party has to align and join with another party, a third party, in order to form a government together. And they still vote for the party with the bigger amount of seats, right? So in 2015, Trudeau won a majority, whereas in
Hmm.
2019, he won a minority. And the thing is, with a majority, you have full control for the next 4 years. In a minority, at any moment, if the MPs vote against you, you're out of the job, and there's a new election.
Yes,
However,
and
Brad, explain what happened this time, because this time it was slightly different.
yes, well, this time it was different because, well, as Moaz just said, it was a minority government. And I actually believe, sorry, just to continue on with this, I actually
Yep.
believe that this could be one of the main reasons behind this sort of rushed election, because the polling suggests in the Guardian that Canadians MPs Liberals are in the position to capture close to 170 seats needed for the majority government. So that is probably one of the main reasons why uh, Trudeau is pushing for an election quickly. Actually, on September 20th, I believe the election is taking place. And
Yeah, so essentially what happened was, I'm building off of your point.
yes.
Trudeau saw that he could easily win, not easily, but he had a higher chance of getting a majority
Mhm.
right now. So what he did was he met with the Governor General, who was appointed just recently. I'm pretty sure he recommended to the Queen to appoint her. She's the
Yes.
first Indigenous Governor General. So
Hmm.
yeah, he met with her and he said, "Please dissolve the Parliament," which means fire all the MPs, get them out of the job, and
Yes.
she approved it. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Governor General Mary Simon, I believe.
yup.
And yeah, and also called. It actually says here that Jagmeet Singh requested that she, should not accept Justin Trudeau's request, because usually the elections don't take place until the beginning or mid October. However, Mary Simon has agreed, and this is actually the main reaction of other parties. I don't believe that they're too happy with what Justin Trudeau is doing here today.
Yup, that's the thing. Like Jagmeet, essentially what he said was the only time you dissolve the parliament is if
Mhm.
the entire parliament does not vote in confidence for the prime minister. However, every single time, Justin Trudeau won confidence because of Jagmeet Singh's party. And I fully agree with him. Like, there's no point in calling an election. Everything that Trudeau wanted to happen happened. So
Hmm.
yeah,
And yeah, in his words, you don't call this isn't what governments do in when you're in the middle of a pandemic, right? So
yeah.
it's yeah, it's a bit of an
And I think
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the conservative leader had a similar viewpoint, right? Did you hear what he
Hmm.
said?
Uh, no, I don't believe so, but I'm sure it's definitely
Yeah,
along the same lines with Jagmeet.
he was just talking about COVID-19. He's like, cause what's her name? Theresa Tam, the chief public health officer. She also said that there's a fourth wave coming. So he just alluded to that as well and said, "Don't call an election."
Yes. We actually have, yeah, we got the quote here is that Canadians are worried about the fourth wave of COVID-19. Now is not the time for an election. We cannot wait and go to the polls when it's safe. So that's what the Conservative government
Yup.
leader, Mr. O'Toole, said.
Yeah, so now I guess let's talk a little bit about the man himself, Mr. Justin Trudeau.
Yes.
So when did he first get elected, Prab? And then talk about if he got elected again.
Yeah, so he was first elected in 2015, and he actually won by a majority landslide, right? I believe,
Yep.
in terms of voting numbers. However, this wasn't the same perhaps in 2019. Maybe a couple of the people that voted in 2015 realized that there wasn't much happening. But however, he still got elected in 2019, and this new election actually should have taken place in 2023. But as you know, news just came out today. Justin Trudeau wants it to happen next month, pretty much.
Yep. And
Um,
let me just give you guys the stats for a second. So in
mhm,
2015, the Liberals won 184 seats, which was I think
mhm.
14 more than needed for the majority. You need 170 for the majority, I think.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and the Conservatives won 99. And then in 2019, the Liberals won 157 and the Conservatives won 121. And we'll have these
Mhm,
stats up on a picture along with how the Bloc did, how the NDP did as well. So yeah, you can
yeah.
definitely see the amount of seats he had fell by I think 30. And the other team
Mhm,
rose as well by like 30 as well. So
yes. So yeah,
yeah,
Justin Trudeau in 2019 perhaps wasn't the most popular individual who's running for prime minister, but he's still got into office.
yeah, because what happened in 2015 was I think the people started getting tired of a conservative government because I
Hmm.
forget exactly how long. We'll have it up on the screen, but the conservatives were in power for at least 8 years, and you can tell based on the stats, especially when Trudeau announced he's going to run for government. There was so much hype because first of all, he's a young guy, he's a new face to politics. His father was a well-liked politician and prime minister. Oh, I forget what his name was. Uh,
Pierre
what
Elliott Trudeau, right?
yeah, Pierre Elliott Trudeau. Yeah, I forgot. But yeah, he was actually a really popular prime minister as well. So when people heard about him, everyone's going to the poll, even independents and conservatives. They also said, you know what, let's give him a chance. He's a new face. He looks really nice. Let's go for him. And then in 2019, and then throughout his entire election, things didn't go as well. The economy was starting to slow down a bit, stagnating. They had the gas tax that they introduced, and then a few scandals as well which we're not going to mention too much about. But yeah, he had a bunch of scandals, and in
Mhm,
2019, you can see he wasn't as popular. The independents left him, the conservatives who voted for him in 2015 left, a bunch of liberals
mhm.
left as well and went to the NDP, especially Quebec. In Quebec, you can tell in 2015 he had a huge win, but in
Yes,
2019 he barely won any seats in Quebec. So you can see his
yes.
downfall, and you can see why he'd want to call an election, especially right now. How popular do you think he is right now, Frab?
Well, right now, I would definitely say he's probably much more popular than he was in 2019 because he has done fairly well to handle the coronavirus pandemic, correct? And I think that's also one of the major reasons why he's gambling that voters will reward him in his administration's handling the pandemic. And
Yup.
so I think he is probably it's definitely a risky decision, but there is intent behind it, and it could possibly work out for him.
Yup, because there was those two huge things. First of all was CERB, the money they gave everyone, and then second of all the vaccine rates, which I think
Yes.
were huge for him.
Oh yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah, uh, now let's talk about one final thing. Will Justin Trudeau win the election or will he lose? Now, we've been talking about how he could win. Let's talk about how he could lose the election. So,
Ooh.
yeah, let's think about this for a second. I think the biggest reason he'd lose is that the voters do not want to go to an election right now, right?
That is yes. They don't want to go to the voting polls currently, and that's also one of what the other parties are saying. Correct? They say that we can go to the voting polls when it's safe to do so, and
Yeah.
not in this current climate.
Hmm. Yeah, so
Mm.
I think, when the voter sees like, wait a second, he's calling an election now, does he not trust us? Is like there's something going on within the inner government that it's gonna fall later. So I think he's definitely losing a lot of trust calling the election. Because I was reading somewhere, the election essentially happens on the third Monday of October. September
Mm-hmm.
20th is the earliest they could have done it, according to the Constitution, right? It's not like
Yes.
they chose the date of September 20th because it was safe or whatever. That's the earliest it could have happened, meaning he's in a rush to get this thing done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Usually, a couple months prior, there are certain like promotions held for the elections. However, this is just in a month's time.
Yup,
It's been put on us, right?
exactly. And yeah, so now let's talk about his potential win. And I think we've mainly touched on how he could win, right? Is there
Yeah.
another point you have in mind?
Ooh, well, here's the thing. I mean, I think. Well, I mean, he's close to almost 170 seats now, right? Needed
Yeah,
for the majority government, and I think that's his probably biggest win right
yeah.
now is
I
to
think
get a majority government.
I think another reason why he could win could potentially be like his veteran leadership, which is like
Mm,
a basketball term, but no other like head of the party has been in politics for a long time. Jagmeet Singh came around I think
20,
2017, 2018, if I'm not sure wrong. We'll put it up on the screen because we don't have all the stats with us, exactly. But Jagmeet
yes.
wasn't running in 2015. Trudeau was. Aaron O'Toole wasn't even running in 2019. He joined in like
Right.
late 2020, right?
Hmm.
So when the voters see like, okay, we have a stagnating economy, things are finally opening up. We need some a veteran leadership, some guy who knows how to do it on both the
Hmm.
national and international stage. I think that's where he could, leverage his power and experience.
Yeah. Now, here's one thing: is that there were certain rumors going around a couple weeks ago is whether Stephen Harper would want to come back for the
Oh, actually?
conservative government. Actually, yeah, there were some certain rumors, some speculation saying that he may want to come back. Obviously, Stephen Harper, who was in office for almost 9 years, from 2006 to 2015, and that could. I mean, obviously, we're not saying that it will happen,
Yup.
but since O'Toole is the leader, but if that's a possibility, then I feel like Canada was definitely in pretty good state
Yeah,
back
I
when he
feel
was
like that
ruling.
would be a really, really good thing because okay, like personally,
Mhm.
I'd vote Liberals and Trudeau. But when you have like such a strong candidate going against him,
Yeah.
you're forcing Trudeau to be at his best, right? Right now he knows
Yeah.
like no one else is competing against him. Yeah, the NDP is
Mhm.
like a huge competitor because they're also left wing and they take all his votes. They can take all his
Mhm.
votes. But when you have Stephen Harper going against you, he
Yeah,
knows he has to be at his top game, otherwise he's gonna lose, which is
yeah. I mean,
very interesting.
yeah, and you were talking about what veteran leaders. I don't think you'll get much better than that in our generation at least.
Yup, 100%. Knowing because
But that's
he also Stephen Harper survived the 2008 financial crisis, right? So he knows how to
oh yes, yes.
keep an economy going.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, it's crazy
That's
news, especially in Canada. You never expect, a government to be dissolved like that by the prime minister.
yeah, definitely. I mean, but with the way things are going right now, and with the pandemic we're in and the climate we're in, it's almost unpredictable of what will happen in the upcoming months or a couple months, right? So, but we will definitely keep you guys updated throughout
Yeah.
this political climate.
Mm. All right, then, guys, if you enjoyed, let us know. Comment down below what your thoughts are. Tell us who
Hmm.
you're going to vote for as well. And yeah, we'll see you
Yeah.
next time.
Yep. See you next time.